Midnights is the 10th studio album by the artist Taylor Swift, and it's one that I've been looking forward to for the past almost 2 months now, ever since she first announced it at the VMAs, which I was watching as it was happening. It was pretty cool to see that. Not only the fact that she, first of all, won Video of the Year for All Too Well, I was very happy to see that as well, but just the fact that there was a new project coming out was really exciting. The 13 tracks that accompany this release are apparently based on 13 separate nights where Taylor Swift was up late in night and couldn't sleep and just sort of conceived these ideas and these concepts that we hear throughout the record. The main themes surrounding the project having to do with, as Taylor has said in the past, self-hatred, revenge fantasies, wondering what might have been, falling in love, and falling apart. All concepts that are relatively familiar if you know, really just even like hits by Taylor Swift, you know that's kind of what she sort of tends to lean to with her songwriting. But I was still intrigued nonetheless, not only because her name is attached to this, but also the idea of her writing these in the middle of the night, on sleepless nights, in that type of environment, I thought was kind of cool and could lead to something maybe a little bit new or interesting. Having listened to the album now, I can't really say that it is anything entirely new for Taylor. Musically speaking, and especially lyrically speaking, there was really nothing all that groundbreaking about hardly anything she's doing on here. I can say that it is kind of unexpected and different comparing to what she's been doing more recently, not including the re-recordings of albums, you know, Fearless and Red, not including those, but her past couple studio albums have gone towards more of a folk route, and so it is kind of surprising to hear her going back to this more pop and electronic influenced style. But of course, that is nothing new for Taylor. We've heard her do this on multiple occasions in multiple projects. So on the one hand, I was kind of disappointed with how safe this album played it and really not experimenting a whole lot. There are a couple tracks in here that I'll get into that do kind of try some different things. But on the whole, I gotta say this was a fairly pleasant listen, with what I thought was some passable songwriting and some pretty good production from Taylor Swift. Jack Antonoff, of course, works with her a lot. We can get some other producers like Soundwave and Jahan Sweet on here, which was kind of cool to see. I thought Lavender Haze was a pretty cool and unexpected way to start off this album, with Taylor already breaking into these really sharp falsettos in the chorus, and I like the use of the title and its meaning throughout this song, and how she sort of compares her position as a female partner and how she's like trying to sort of delve away from this stereotype of women having to serve a certain role in a relationship, and kind of compares it to the way that they were seen in the 1950s, and they were like just not really able to do as much back then. Maroon kind of fits with the falling apart theme that Taylor had described, and sort of a lost love, a love from the past that had failed. Anti-Hero is the next track on here, and it is also the first single, the only single at this point released for the album, which I'm happy to see, because I think this is one of the better tracks on the album, and certainly one of the more happy and brighter sounding songs. We're just talking about the production side of things, especially with these glockenspiel embellishments that pop up at the end of the chorus. And I like the idea of Taylor sort of embracing this anti-hero role and embracing her faults that she's made in the past. Following this is a Lana Del Rey collaboration, the only collaboration on this album with any other artists. Snow on the Beach is the title of this one, and I think it's a really nice sounding song. I'm loving the plucky strings that appear in this, and I mean overall it's a cool chill vibe, but admittedly I did feel a little bit dissatisfied with this by the end. It felt like it was just constantly building and leading up to something, but it never did, and yeah, I just felt a little bit unsatisfied with this one by the time that it ended. And the fact that the lyrics are pretty generic, just talking about two people falling in love with the same person at the same time, doesn't really help that either. You're on Your Own Kid kind of does what I wish Snow on the Beach had done, which is sort of build up and add these layers to the instrumentation as it went on. And I really like how this song sort of hammers down the idea of being on your own and sort of feeling this feeling of loneliness. And you know, she talks about how her friends aren't really approving of what all she's doing, and like even being in a party environment, still kind of feeling like an outsider. While I do appreciate the experimentation on the track Midnight Rain, most notably with Taylor's vocals at in the chorus feeling kind of warped, you know, not auto-tuned, but just really shifted in the tone of her voice. The song as a whole just feels very awkward to me, not just with the way that her vocals are, but the structure of it as a whole just kind of feels very scattered and not very well put together. And then with Vigilante shit, we get what I like to call Trappler Swift. Yes, this is sort of like a trap horrorcore-ish anthem from Taylor that we're getting. And I mean, honestly, I think it works really well. I'm really digging the instrumental on this. It's very 808s heavy. We even get these pretty random just bursts of sound coming from what sounds like some horns and some key instruments. Some people may find it a little bit cringy, especially with her sort of talking about just like girl power basically is what this song is about. And honestly though, I think she pulls it off well. I think it's one of the more memorable songs on here for sure, and unique sounding. I'm also enjoying the song Bejeweled, and just how the sound of it fits very well with the title. It's a very bouncy feeling track, with the synths being very prominent and having this sort of jewelry shimmery kind of quality to them. I also just love the line, "did all the extra credit, then got graded on a curve." I feel like that could really be comparable to other hardships in life. I just think it's a hilarious line personally. Labyrinth kind of combines the themes, two of the major themes of this album, which relate to falling in love as well as thinking back on what could have been, what could have happened with this relationship. It's a chill track, and I admire Taylor's approach with the writing on here, but there's something about the song that just feels unfinished to me. From lyrical and production perspective, not much really going on with the instrumental here, and I think Taylor just lingering on this idea of falling in love a little bit too much in like the last minute plus is consisting just of this chorus kind of being dragged out. I think doesn't really earn its runtime. When I was first listening to the song Karma, I kept thinking that she was saying comma throughout the song, like C-O-M-M-A, and saying comma is my boyfriend, comma is a god. Like I thought she was delivering these lines in some sort of letter format, and I was initially not into that, but then I realized, oh, the title is Karma, so she's talking about karma, K-A-R-M-A, karma. Unfortunately though, that revelation I kind of had while listening did not really turn the song around for me. I think it's a little bit ridiculous. I'm really not into Taylor's lyrics here. Decent melody, but the subject matter just not that into. Sweet Nothing sees Taylor talking about embracing a partner and embracing the love that you would get out of a relationship with a partner, and kind of just forgetting other life things that cause stress. And no pun intended, this song is really sweet. I really like it a lot. I like the electric piano that's being played, and just sort of this feeling of closure and of relaxation that Taylor seems to be going through in this one. And I honestly feel like that should have been the last track on here, because while it is generally a happy song, there's a bit of melancholy and hesitance there, like, is this really what I want my life to go, the direction to go in? As opposed to Mastermind, which is kind of just all happy-go-lucky, joyful, happy ending. And it's okay, but personally, I really thought that Sweet Nothing would have been a much more solid ending and more of a nail in the coffin for this project as a whole. Midnights is an album that I respect on the whole. I like how chill and laid back sounding it is, and for the most part I am down also with this concept and exploring these different themes of love and relationships. But I think what it does kind of suffer from is kind of that itself, and just how familiar and redundant it is, and also a bit of inconsistency. I'm really liking some of the lyrics on here, but other ones I'm also really not that into. And at times I feel like its minimalistic qualities can be to its fault. I'm giving this album a 6.5. I think it is a decent listen with some great highlights, but I also just think that it doesn't play to its strengths as often as it should have, and also does suffer quite a bit from blandness. What were your guys' thoughts on this album? I haven't really looked into what people think about it. I did already see some stuff coming up about it though, people making fun of it being kind of mediocre and average. And I mean, to an extent, I do kind of agree with that, but for me, this does fall just slightly more on the positive side, just barely making that mark. As always, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace out.